I'm sure I got all my stuff with me. We couldn't print out. I couldn't print out 30 slides. So if y'all got your phone, it's time. Just pull out your phone, turn your volume down, and just go to the screen, and you can look at. You can look at stuff like this, so you can follow us where we're going in the history book. So if not, that's fine. Just let you know. Feel free to turn on the stream just to make sure your volume is all the way down, so you can see the stream. See where we're going, because it's 30-something slides. All right, so we're gonna open up. We live, right? All right, we're gonna open up. Page Jerusalem, open up.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth.
Thy will be done in earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
In Jesus' holy name we pray.
In Jesus' holy name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to read the law.
Put a star cloth. Put a star cloth.
Exodus 21 through 17. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. The iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
All right, blessed Sabbath. Today we're gonna look at what's the title for the love of money worship. So we're gonna look at some things concerning worship or idolatry as we've been covering the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's just another leg of it. What we're gonna address is, the money making or the money making aspect of worship and the love of money, which is causing this false worship, and of course, it's perpetuated. These false religions are perpetuated because they making money, and we'll realize as we continue to learn that these holidays they're really for rich folks. So we got December 25th coming up, right? And the rich don't have a problem buying gifts and none of that. They don't have no problem because they're holidays for the rich folks. It's us who are poor be spending our last buck, going crazy, running around, trying to get a last minute gift and all that stuff, knowing we really ain't got it. You'll forego your rent or bills to uphold a holiday that you shouldn't even be participating in. You got kids waking up crying because they ain't got no toys. Well, they shouldn't be expecting it anyway. You got people that are adults. They get mad. They start crying because they ain't got no gift or nobody thought about them. Well, you ain't supposed to be doing it anyway. You're a whole adult worried about some gifts. But for the love of money, it has us worshiping these things. For example, it ain't even got to be no idol, because the idol don't have to be nothing physical. You bow down and worship. Even though the word worship or the term worship could mean that, worship don't necessarily mean you getting on your knees and bowing to something. Your worship or your idol could be something you want. Or the image. An image don't mean physical. Just like people say, we use these terms today. Yeah, I don't like his image. I don't like her image. What is it saying? Is it talking about the person or what they portray? So when it comes to us worshiping images, it don't have to be nothing physical. That's the point. Matter of fact, I'll go to John 4 real quick. 22 real quick. John 4 and 22 real quick. All right. John 4 and 22. You know what? Let me see something. You might want to back up a little bit. Let's see. John 4. John 4. And let's see. Go to 1. Just start at 1 real quick. That'll work. Let's go to 1 first. John chapter 4 and verse 1. Start there.
When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee.
Go skip on down to verse
Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about about the 6th hour.
Yeah, that's in Samaria. Go ahead.
Here comes the woman of Samaria to draw water.
So it said a woman of Samaria. So a Samaritan. Go ahead.
Jesus said unto her, give me to drink. For his disciples were going away unto the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans.
Skip on down to verse 20. This is what we want. What does she say? She a Samaritan. We know they was placed there back in 2 Kings 17 when the 10 tribes got taken out. So what happened here in verse 20? What she said?
Worship in this mountain.
Uh-huh.
You say that in Jerusalem is where men are to worship.
Uh-huh.
Jesus said unto her, woman, believe me, the hour coming in this mountain, no yet at Jerusalem, worship the Father.
I'm going to let you know the time coming where neither in this mountain or at Jerusalem shall you worship the Father. What is he saying? Go ahead.
You worship, you know not what.
So she thought she knew what she was doing, right? She claimed she was worshiping the Father, right? But he said to her, you don't even know what you are doing. So my point is we could be thinking these celebrations are all holy and righteous, but they really are idolatrous celebrations that God hates. Hold your marker here. Go to Exodus 20 because we read it every week, but I just want to reiterate it. Go back to Exodus 20 real quick. I know we open with this every week, but we're going to focus on one real quick. And we're probably gonna be old school for a minute. The folks get used to writing stuff down. Exodus 20 and 1 real quick. Nothing written down like that. It's easy for me to flow through it. Exodus 20 and 1. Exodus 20 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which has brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Thou shalt not have what?
Gods before me.
You shall not have any other gods before me, meaning you shall not worship any other gods. And they say we can't use the term God, but the Lord is talking and he say other gods. So he even know that word is what that word means, God or Elohim. That's all it means. He said, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Go to Go to Deuteronomy the 12th chapter. So we read some of this last week when it comes to becoming a unit or coming together to put idolatry down. How we must stand against sin. That was the topic last week. How we stand together against sin in the specific. We discussed how it can be hard sometimes to come to your feelings, right? We got to put our feelings to the side. Deuteronomy 12 and 1. And I'll expound on what I just said in a second. Deuteronomy 12 and 1. Go ahead.
These are the statutes and judgments which the Lord thy God, which the Lord thy God of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it, all the days that ye live upon the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods.
All right, so you're getting specific here. He said, ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods. No matter where they at, go ahead.
Upon the high mountains, upon the hills, and upon and under every green tree.
We're going to come back to Deuteronomy 12 later. Just wanted to read that real quick. Go back to John chapter 4. Matter of fact, go to 1 John 4. First John 4. Because I mentioned it can go off what we feel and all of that. It can feel good, things like that. Because the woman in John 4 claimed that she was serving God, and the Lord said, nah, you don't even know what you're doing. But when it comes to these traditions, we need to know what we're doing. It can't be because my mama said it. You know what I mean? It can't be because my dad said it. That's why I do it, because they do it. That don't make no sense, because you would turn and tell your kids, you would jump out the building because Johnny jumped off? How you use that language to your child? But you just say, when I talk about a pagan tradition, you say, well, shoot, that's what my parents did. So do I have to ask you, if your parents jump off a building, you gonna jump off? Well, you didn't even know that, right? You would know the answer is no. So you got to let the feelings go and try the spirit, right? 1 John 4 and 1. Go ahead.
Beloved, believe not every spirit.
Hey, he said, first off, I love y'all, but do not believe every spirit. This 1 John 4 and 1. He said, beloved, I love y'all. Believe not every spirit. That's why when folks tell me it's in my spirit and I can feel it in my spirit, all that, that's fine. But we got to see, right? This growing up in the church and stuff like that. Well, I didn't really grow up in the church like that, but you would hear religious people talking and say, it didn't sit right with my spirit, stuff like that. And this is how to determine if that spirit that it ain't sitting right with, if it's a God or if it's something else. This is how you determine that. Because you could be feeling the way you feel, you can think you're right because how you feel. And we got to remove that out the way and deal with truth, right? Beloved, believe not every spirit, but what?
But try the spirits, whether they are of God.
How do you determine if they're God or not? You got to come out the book in context. Don't I can't say because somebody using the Bible they telling the truth. That's we know that's a lie. But it has to be in context. You have to say what you are reading. What you are reading and what you saying should match. It should be contextually accurate. This is how you know. Because people say, I got the spirit, or the spirit told me to tell you, and then you hear what they got to tell you, and it's out of context. It's just it don't even say whatever. You complain about something that ain't even in the book. But you can feel like you know what I mean? And that's where you get into religious dogma and doctrines of devils. It said, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, what?
Whether they are of God.
The Lord told me to tell you that December 25th is really the Messiah's birthday. Because they said the Spirit told him to tell you. Does that make it true? Because you know clear as day that ain't even in the Bible. It said, but try the spirits whether they are of God. Why? Why?
Because many false prophets are going out into the world.
He telling you why, because everybody be lying. For the most part, many be lying. Excuse me, I ain't gonna say everybody because that covers everybody. But a lot of people be lying. And some of them don't even think they lying. Or even know they lying. So how do you determine if they're telling the truth? You have to try the spirit, whether they be of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Many of them. We have false prophecies all over the place. That's why people don't know who to believe. You got the truth. Somebody's telling you the truth here, but then somebody else give you something that may sound like truth or resonate with your spirit. So you go with that. And then you find something else. It's like, I don't know about that. And then you try to go back over here, and it's like, everybody's saying a lie. It can get confusing, right? Everybody's saying a lie. Everybody say they got the truth and all that. But that would be a red flag for me. If somebody said they got the truth, that would be a red flag. Only listen to us. That's another red flag. Because we all learning truth. So what does he say in verse 2?
Hereby know you the Spirit of God.
Oh, this is how you know the Spirit of God. Especially this is how you know. He told you how to do it. You got to try the Spirit, and then he's gonna tell us something else. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. What? This is a start. Go ahead.
Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God.
All right, that's a start. But that's not the end of it. This gets you on the right track clearly. Because we got a lot of people confessing Jesus Christ, right? But they're add some pagan customs or some religious, westernized ideology behind it, or having you doing stuff they want you to do, and it ain't even in the Bible. Just because they tell you about Jesus don't mean they tell the truth either. So we was reading last week, got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. We usually just focus on the harmless part and don't understand that we must be wise. How you become wise? You got to study, right? Be educated, be taught. And we're going to look at some things that are happening in real time today. So we know that the Bible applies to real time today and all that. Oh yeah, that's just the Bible days talk. No, we're going to always be in the Bible days for sure. So we're going to look at things in the Bible and then go into things that are happening in our time. We break words down so you can be educated on what things mean, how to understand the Bible better. How do you understand the Bible better? Not only through prayer, but you got to study words too, so you know what it's saying. He said, "And stammer and listen another tongue." Stammering looks, meaning sometimes it's confusing. You look up stammering. So you got to understand things. But he said, "Hereby know you the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God." Well, we know it's more to it, right? We can read the next one, verse 3.
And every spirit that confesses not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God.
And we know it's more to it than this, because in Titus said you can confess that you know the Lord, right? But what does it say? In works they deny Him. So this confession ain't just lip service. That's what we're getting to, because we're looking at the what is it? The root of evil or the love of money? Which was his name? What's the title? The love of money, right? Worship in parentheses, because that's what we're addressing. The worship, and it's not just worshiping some statue or bound to no statue. Your way of life, the way you behave, the things you do, the things, the people you follow or observe, or the rules you follow and observe as it relates to religion. It said that every spirit that confesses not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. But we know it's more than lip service, because I just said in Titus, you can deny Him through your works. So what would you be? Go ahead.
And this is that spirit of Antichrist.
So you can have the spirit of Antichrist by your behavior. Not because you're talking, through your behavior. Go ahead.
Whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world.
Well, that's why the world do what they want to, because first of all, you got many false prophets, and then the world as a whole do what they want to do. The pride of life. They have the pride of life, like I say in the third chapter, I believe, or the second chapter. So they have the world has the pride of life in them. The lust of the flesh is in them. And you're going to do whatever you want to do, including these pagan days. And it's just about every day, every month there's something. But anyway, go back to John 4, because he told the lady, you don't even know what you worship. John 4, and read that 20 again.
Our fathers worship in this mountain.
Because she felt like they was doing the right thing. She felt like she had it, right? This individual here we're reading about. Go ahead.
And you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship.
Let's look at worship real quick before we finish this, before we get out of here. And if you wasn't here, I announced you're going to have to pull up the stream, because we had 30 slides. So we couldn't print out 30 slides for over 25 people. So go all the way to the end. We're going to break down that word worship. It's called, what word is it in Greek? All the way to the end. It should be the word proskuneo. 4352. So you're going to have to do a little searching up there, because it didn't go up there in order. So you don't have to pull out your phone. I'm just telling you, if you want to be able to see the words, see the visuals, that's what it's for. So let's look at this word worship. And it's more than one word that means worship. And it's going to get a little different. So this is 4352. You got it up there? This page? Proskuneo. 4352 proskuneo.
It is, but it's kind of cut off.
Kind of cut off?
See worship. It's just like,
No, that's the other one. You go to the other one. The one that say that.
this.
Go to the other one. The wrong one. This is the one above up here at the top. Man. Just that.
And that G word. The other one doing worship was this. This one actually said what you were saying. But it was cut out.
I don't know why. It shouldn't be. Put that one.
It's moving real slow to you.
There you go. That's the one. All right. Proskuneo. That's the second part. That's the second part of it. The only reason I had to do it this way because it'd be a whole bunch of ads and stuff popping up on the screen. We're not running the risk of getting stuff taken down, all that other stuff. You know, we ain't worried about it. So proskuneo, just bear with us, 4352, and this is what it means to worship here in this John 4. All right, go ahead.
Proskuneo, definition: to do reverence to. Usage: I go down on my knees to. Do obeisance to. Worship.
All right, so worship means, it can mean I go down to my knees, right? Like when who was that? Nebuchadnezzar in the statue and all that, right? He wanted to physically bow down to the ground, right? That's one meaning of worship. The other, to do or do obeisance to. So it's not just bowing down to some idol or some Christmas tree or anything like that. Your behavior, right? Because the next one is just clear, flat out worship. All right, look at the help word studies to get a little more specific here when it's as getting down on all fours, stuff like that. So read the help word studies right there.
Proskuneo. Pros means towards and kuneo to kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Properly to kiss the ground when prostrating before a superior.
So like literally worshiping down, kissing the ground before an individual or an whatever, an idol or anything, or a superior, right? Go ahead.
To worship, ready to fall down, prostrate oneself, to adorn on one's knees. To
What
do
else it says
obeisance.
again? To do obeisance. So when we keep stressing the fact that your behavior determines who or what you are serving, we try to make that clear so you know you don't physically have to stand idle for that to be paganism. For example, on the dollar bill, what does it say? In God we trust. It ain't talking about the God of heaven, is it? It's really referring to the beast or the system you bow down to. Ultimately, it's really Satan. And what will people do for this dollar bill that says in God we trust on? You think that that's a mistake there? That's a typo? No. What will people do for this love of money? They'll kill. They'll work on the Sabbath. They'll celebrate or they'll partake in rituals for money, sacrifice folks for money. Who are they serving? Are they bound down to some owl or something? Are they bound down to something physically? Or does their behavior determine who they serving or who they worshiping? Do they have to physically get down to the dollar bill, express money on the ground, and then bow to it? It's what you do in reverence to it. Because it says to do or do obeisance to. All right, let's see what else. What else it got? Let's give us a little more history on it too.
The basic meaning of proskuneo, in the opinion of most scholars, is the kiss.
Mm-hmm.
On Egyptian reliefs, worshippers are represented with outstretched hand, throwing a kiss to pros the deity.
So like, but they're doing it to their false god. Like, all right, go ahead.
Proskuneo has been metaphorically described as the kissing ground.
As the kissing ground. This is where you Kiss the ground. Go ahead.
between believers, the bride, and Christ, the heavenly bridegroom.
Uh-huh.
While this is true,
Proskuneo,
proskuneo suggests the willingness to make all necessary physical gestures of obeisance.
Willingness to make all necessary physical gestures of obeisance. All right, go to that one you had it up there with where it just say worship there. It's the second part of it. I guess I really could have had it on the PowerPoint. It might have been easier, but I thought it was going to upload in order. But I selected everyone in order. You got it up there where it say worship. All right, read that Strong's exhaustive.
Worship, from pros and a probable derivative of kuon, meaning to kiss, like a dog licking his master's hand, to fawn or crouch, to literally or figuratively
All right,
prostrate.
to fawn or crouch, literally or figuratively bowing. What else to say?
Prostrate themselves in homage, to do reverence to, adore, worship.
To adore or worship. All right, go back to John 4. Just to show you what it's getting into. It ain't necessarily meaning hit the ground. You know what I mean? Your actions, right? Hopefully that's clear. So what you are doing, read 20 again. What you are doing, go ahead.
Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship.
Uh-huh.
Jesus said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father.
Or do obeisance too. Go ahead.
You worship, you know not what.
What you worshiping, your activity, your actions, what you are doing, you don't even know what you was doing. And you ask an average person where these holidays come from, and they'll just tell you this is what's handed down to me. What this got to do for the love of money? We're going to find out. And we will see why we stress the importance of the gospel and the pulling down of these strongholds or these wicked rulers who are oppressing the people. We're going to see how this relates. Because those stars got to fall. Go ahead. Verse 23. Oh, sorry. Verse 22 in the middle. My bad. He said, we know.
We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
So everything we do, for the most part, we know. Because we still learn. That's why I said for the most part. Any new information we find out, we continue to learn and grow as we serve in the Most High, right? It said we know what we worship. So everything we're doing now, we can prove it, right? That's why we go through these great lengths to do. I'll pull these slides up, go into words, definitions, so you can truly see where the stuff we are doing, our activity, our actions, where it comes from. If it can be proven by the scriptures and history. Because it says we know what we worship. We know why we're here. For what again? That's my fault. For salvation is of the Jews, right? Well, you could read in John 8, they thought them physically being a son of Abraham gave them salvation. Physically. Spiritually, you got to be the son of Abraham, which is to do justice and judgment. We know that, right? All right, verse 23.
But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
That's what was going on when Christ left. The apostles' doctrine, they took over. Go ahead.
For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit.
It says, so God is a spirit, right? And he's seeking everybody to worship him in spirit and in truth, or in sincerity and in truth, right? Honest. Serve him honestly. Sincerely. Because he's a spirit, right? And if God is a spirit and we're supposed to worship a spirit, we got to do it according to the spirit. And the same writer told us to try the spirits, of course, because not every spirit is of God, even though folks say they're spiritual. God is a spirit, and they what?
And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Go to Ephesians, the 2nd chapter. And I know we got a whole bunch of slides, but it ain't no rush anyway. Ephesians 2. Because you got to worship him in spirit and in truth, right? I mean, you got to obey him, right? You even read the definition to do obeisance too, to obey. Excuse me. Ephesians chapter 2, we'll read 1 through 4. You can write that down. Ephesians 2, 1 through 4. All right. Go ahead.
And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in time past you walked according to the course of this world.
Oh, well, okay. So he said he made you alive who were dead in trespasses and sins. So you can't claim to be alive and woke if you're sinning, clearly. Because he said these people were dead. How? What made them dead? Their trespasses and sin. He said, where in time past you walked according to the course of this world. Right? Peter tells us the elements of this world are going to be burnt up with fervent heat. It ain't talking about elements, because that doesn't mean, he said all the elements. If it was talking about some physical silver and what is the periodic table, that means everything on fire. Even the air would be on fire. Oxygen would be on fire. We know that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about the elements or the mindset or the course of the world. He said, where in time past, and we got a lesson on the sun, moon, and stars if you need further info on that. It said, where in time past you walked according to the course of this world. And the course of this world, till you get that bag, right? Go get that bag. That's what the course of this world tell you. So that's why we become oppressors too. Because we got to get that bag. That's the American dream, right? To get your own, to be an entrepreneur, and then have somebody work for you. And then when they're working for you, you don't even give them, you don't even split the profit with them. And we think that's what God wants. And then say, thank God he blessed me as an entrepreneur. I came out the mud. The whole time you got somebody else in the mud because of you. You ain't no different than the people that oppressed you in the first place. But that's the course of this world, right? And that's how some of us used to walk. All right. He said, where in time past you walked according to the course of this world. And who is prescribing the course or the way of this world? Who's motivating the way of this world that was trespasses and sin, that involved trespasses and sin? Who was it? Go ahead.
According to the prince of the power of the air.
According to the prince of the power of the air. Who is he?
The spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
So if you are disobedient, the spirit of, that's who, the prince of the power of the air is Satan. That's why everything you see on the airways is Satanism. Everything that's promoted, Satanism. It wants you to disobey. All it do is teach you to go after covetousness, right? Just like when this holiday comes around, specifically Christmas, tell me how many commercials you're going to see about Jesus Christ if it's about him. You'll be hard pressed to find one because it ain't about him at all. But to these Ephesians, they used to walk this way, it said. It said, whereon in time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. So that same spirit is working in the children of obedience now, here, in this time. Verse 3, what does it say?
Among whom also we had our conversation in time past.
Our way of life, that's what conversation means. And I don't just mean talking, even though it involves talking as well, but your conversation, the way you behave. We had our conversation in time past where?
In the lust of our flesh.
Fulfilling
the desires of the flesh and of the mind.
To feel good. Whatever felt good to us, we did it, right? But just because it feels good to you when you do it, that don't mean God wants you to do it. It said, among whom also we had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of what?
The mind.
Uh-huh.
And were by nature the children of wrath, even as others.
And who by nature we were the children of wrath. We wasn't the children of the promise. We were the children of destruction. But what?
But God, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Christ. By grace you are saved.
Because when we found Christ, we was all in sin. That's what he said. It don't say you get to sin all over the place and he gonna save you. No. It's just the fact is that while we ran into Christ, we were in sin and he saved us out of it. Go on to Titus, because I kept quoting it. I quoted it a few times. Just go to Titus real quick. Because it was a spirit working in the children of disobedience. And then we read in 1 John 4 that if you confess Christ, you got the spirit of Christ. And we have to prove that that's not just talking with your mouth, right? Because everybody say they believe in Jesus, right? Matter of fact, you have people going to do some dirt and pray before it. You have folks going to rob a bank, right? For the love of money, going to rob a bank. But before they rob the bank, they pray first. Titus 1 real quick. I kept quoting it. Read this real quick. Verse, you know what? No, 16. Just one verse. We'll come back to Titus as well. Titus 1 and 16. Titus chapter 1, verse 16. Go ahead.
They profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient.
So you can call on Christ, but if you are disobedient, what is that telling them? You don't believe. It don't amount to nothing. You can profess that you know God. It said they profess that they know God, but in works they deny him being what?
Abominable.
And what?
And disobedient.
Disobedient to God. He said, don't have no other gods before me, but you said it's cool, right? You just slap Jesus' name on it. It's cool. Matter of fact, you don't even do the research of what it represents or anything, what's going on behind the scenes, how this holiday is flourishing. You don't know what's going on. You're just doing it because you feel like it's right. It feels good. It says they profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient into what?
And unto every good work reprobate.
When you show them how to do it the right way, they can't get it. All right, we're going to go to one more place here, and then we're going to hop on these slides or this history, right? Acts 19. Acts 19. Acts 19 and 17. So they're gonna talk about a story, the end of the story where they was beat up by somebody had a devil. They got beat up and whooped out their clothes. We're not concerned about that. We're looking at something else. Verse 17. This is what it's talking about. Somebody got beat up out their clothes. Verse 17.
And this was known to all the Jews and Greeks also dwelling at Ephesus. And fear fell on them all. And the name of the Lord Jesus was magnified. And many that believed came and confessed and showed their deeds.
So many that believed came and confessed and showed their deeds. And that's what we got to get these rich or wicked people to confess their deeds and to turn away from it. It's not just about the thug on the street. That's all. It seems like they're the only people that do anything. The drug dealer and all that, but we don't say nothing to the pharmacists, right? We got people hooked on drugs. People be on drugs 30 years and they in the same predicament. Like it's keeping them in the same situation of affliction. How you be on a drug for 30 years and they ain't never healed you? I thought that was the point of it. That's the same thing Christ was experiencing when he was around, right? It was some sister that was messed up. She was bound or oppressed of the devil, and she received of the physicians many things. They were trying to do many things the physicians was, and they couldn't heal her. So they experimented on her, right? That tells us that's what these rural rulers do. They experiment on you. That's what we call some of these things. Yeah, they gave me some experimental drugs. And you okay with that? I guess you get desperate enough, you need help, right? But why not go the natural route? It even tell us in the future that these trees would be a healing medicine. Then you don't have to wait till the future for that to be. All these fruits, vegetables, and all that, they was meant to heal you, to help you. Not these drugs that's laced with petroleum and chemicals and all that. So they have to confess their deeds too, though. You know, that's the point. They got to put that stuff away. It said, and many that believe came and confessed and showed their deeds. They talk about us being drug dealers. How the drugs getting in there? We don't own nothing. But anyway, this is the point we want. Verse 19, excuse me. Go ahead.
Many of them also which used curious arts brought their books together.
So you got curious arts today, don't you? You're dealing with Greeks anyway. We got, people do the Virgos and the zodiac signs, all that. Folks do the chakras and get the what they call it, the little rocks, crystals, and all that. You got all type of stuff, curious arts, yoga, and all that. And they got books on it. For the love of money, they push this paganism and this wickedness. They push it for the love of money. They have you worshiping other things, right? They got you doing stuff. Got you doing all type of poses. Trying out all this other stuff, curious arts, because it make money. It's funny how we read the Bible and we look at the feast days of God, and they didn't require no money. But all these holidays require money. So what is this about? It's for the love of money. They perpetuate all this paganism. It said many of them also was used their curious arts, brought their books together, and what?
And burned them before all men.
Uh-huh.
And they counted the price of them and found it 50,000 pieces of silver.
It was worth 50,000 pieces of silver at that time. Look at this curious art. Look what it's producing. Money. They have you worshiping this stuff so you can spend money, so they can make money. Go ahead.
So mightily grew the word of God and prevailed.
Skip on down. Verse 23.
And the same time there arose no small stir about that way.
The good way. Go ahead.
For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen.
Look at that. Paganism. Promoting paganism. He was making money. So they heard about this gospel, about the true and living God, and there wasn't no small stir about it. They started talking about it. Hold on. Shoot, I'm making a lot of money by building these false gods and idols. Don't they have people, famous celebrities, what the first thing they do? Get a Caesar head, a Caesar piece. Why I say Caesar piece? Because it ain't Jesus. They call it Jesus piece, but it's a Caesar piece. And why is it just the head too? You want to show everybody you cut the Messiah head off? Is that what it is? You don't even think about what you're wearing. Anyway, if it was a Messiah, why are you walking around with his head? That's what they do when they kill kings. They walk around with his head. Well, when they killed Saul, they took his head. Again, uneducated. We don't think we got to be educated when we're dealing with the Bible. We just got to follow somebody religious dogma, or whatever you want to call it. We got to go through rituals. That's all it's about. We ain't got to know nothing. We don't have to break nothing down. We read the script. Oh, it say what it say, and you don't break it down at all. And that's why people be getting enslaved and abused and all of that, because they don't break anything down. And once people read stuff to you, you don't go see for yourself. The only time people see for themselves is they don't like you or they're looking for some dirt on you or something. That's when folks want to pay attention. That's when folks go hard, when they think you're lying or something. He said, for a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen. Verse 25.
Whom he called together with the work men of like occupation.
So he calling all the other owners, the business owners. Hold on, hold on. They gonna mess our money up. Whom he called together with workmen of like occupation, and what he say? What did he say?
It says, sirs, you know that by this craft we have our wealth.
Wealth is a lot of money. It said we have our wealth because of this. We don't have the numbers on Christmas, but we know that's billions it produced. We're gonna look at the numbers for Halloween. That's just one day. We're gonna see how much that produced, and then give you a better idea of what Christmas will probably, the area of Christmas would be, because Christmas is much bigger than Halloween. Right? At least some people got sense to know that Halloween, you shouldn't be doing that if you believe in Jesus. But we're gonna look at how much that produced, right? But it said through this way of us building these false gods, perpetuating Diana, worshiping all that, we have wealth because of it. So again, for the love of money, they have you worshiping these false gods, idols, all of that. What else he said?
Moreover, you see and hear that none alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands.
So we can do our part in bringing down these world powers too, by just simply not serving false gods. It'll crush them. That'll help. And a lot of people will stop getting depressed. We're going to find out. So it said, moreover, you see in here that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people. He didn't make it sound a little negative. He turned away much people. Like when you say you turned them away, right? It's like you got them on some evil stuff. That's what people claim about it. They got people falling away over there. They got people turning away. I think people are reading the Bible, studying for themselves, and starting to see that some of the things were not accurate that they've been taught. It's just some things concocted through private interpretation. It doesn't require much study. It just feels good, like this is what it really means. It feel right. It sit right in my spirit that that's what it said. And you find out when we do some studying and some research, incorrect. But he said he turned away much people, saying what again?
Saying that they be no gods which are made with hands. So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught.
So they look at it, our craft that we get our wealth by, it's in danger. Go ahead.
But also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised.
They spend a lot of money on that too. You got to understand and show you the mindset of how people think. Our craft is going to be in danger, and then the temple we built, or the temple over there, is going to be despised. Look what they're concerned about. Go ahead.
And her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worshipeth.
Look at that, whom all Asia and the world worshipeth. So if you got everybody over there in Asia to put down this Diana or this pagan practice, then they wouldn't have no more wealth. But what was the reason? He telling you the reason they was doing it. For wealth, for money. They don't care about it if it got to do with Jesus or not. As far as Christmas is concerned, they want the money. Let's go see that. Let's go into Time Life. Pull up that Time Life pictures of dude holding up, putting a light on the tree or something. So we're going to go here. Time Life. And that's why I said if you got your phone, turn your volume down and pull it up so you can look at it and see. Unless you're sitting right behind the producer, Brother Ant. So you got the guy that's a black picture. Go slow. Yeah. Wish we had a Wi-Fi booster that actually worked. I remember I tried to buy one and it didn't work that well. But maybe if we're in a different location, it might work better. But it could be what we putting out. You never know.
Yeah, I think that's good.
But you know, when we upload a video, it don't be right there. It'd be like a whole couple hours before you see it or something. Like they gotta watch it first.
Yeah.
Okay. That tells me something. We must be doing something right. I mean, you can't become a mega church unless you tell them to teach them how they want you to teach. That's why we have these stadiums packed. They couldn't be telling the truth. Is it up there?
Christmas around the world.
Yeah. All right. That's what we're reading out of Time Life. Now we're gonna flip it. It should be this dude right here with the other dude laying on him. Bowing to him. Right here, Making Merry. So the title of it is Christmas Around the World. All right, is it up there?
Yeah.
All right, so Making Merry, we're going to read that caption from the top.
Making merry. The millions who celebrate the birth of Jesus justly view that event as the heart and soul of Christmas.
So look how they feel, right? You got to try the spirits, whether they're of God or not, right? Because it says the millions who celebrate the birth of Jesus, and I find a million, it's more than that, it got to be. Because ain't it a billion Catholics? Something like that. It says the millions who celebrate the birth of Jesus, it says justly view that event as the heart and soul of Christmas. There is no history anywhere that says Jesus Christ was born on December 25th. Nowhere. So how can you say you justly view that as the heart and soul of Christmas? Because of how you feel. We're going to see that. Go ahead.
Yet many of the trappings and traditions that now accrue to the holiday, adorning it prettily like ornaments on a tree, predate the nativity by as many as 2,000 years.
Now pay attention to what it says. See, even though they feel like it's the heart and soul of Christmas, Jesus' birth, it says, yet many of the trappings and traditions that now accrue to the holiday, adorning it prettily like ornaments on a tree. That custom predates the nativity by as much as 2,000 years. So the way they do Christmas and all of that now is what they were doing back then. It even predates Christ's birth or the nativity. Everybody knows the nativity is a scene. What else it says? What else does it say? Excuse me.
Bright fires, gift giving, parades, roving carolers, and 12-day festivals were hallmarks of other ancient end-of-the-year observance and celebrations. Over time, they all became part of the grand and growing pageant that is Christmas.
So it said bright fires, gift giving, parades, roving carolers, 12-day festivals were hallmarks of other ancient end-of-the-year observances and celebrations. Over time, they all became part of the grand and growing pageant that is Christmas. Gift giving, money being spent. You hear gift, right? Somebody had to buy something. Money being spent. So look at this picture. It's going to say the Persians' New Year's Festival. Can you read that right there on the left down there? Right there.
The Persians' New Year's festivals, Nowruz, was one of the several pre-Christian pageants in which offerings were made, gifts exchanged, and the rebirth of life cheered.
So read that, the Mesopotamian.
The Mesopotamian, Persian, and Babylonian cultures held multi-day rituals and acknowledged the winter solstice, the approaching New Year, or both. The ancient Greeks staged a festival honoring their god Kronos, while the Romans enjoyed an annual blowout that nodded to their god Saturn.
Right. It nodded to their god Saturn, right? That's where you get what? Saturday and all that, right? And the celebration is called what? Saturnalia. That's what the Romans called it. Let's see. Go ahead.
And bequeathed a word for unrestrained excess, Saturnalia.
So it said, and it bequeathed a word for unrestrained excess. Unrestrained. So this day, you can do whatever you want. Unrestrained excess. So nothing was too much on this day. So you had to know they was wilding. You had to know they was wilding on this day. What do I got to do with Jesus? We ain't seen him yet, right? Skip on over to the Saturnalia on the right paragraph, the Saturnalia where it started.
The Saturnalia, extending from December 17th through the 23rd, was redolent of both the partying aspect of our modern Christmas holiday and, interestingly, the long ago Yule celebrations of pagans in the far north.
So it said the Saturnalia, extended from December 17th to 23rd, was redolent of both the partying aspect of our modern Christmas holiday. The partying aspect. It's taken back all the way back into Saturnalia. The partying aspect and the Yule celebration. Go ahead.
Yes, it is very true that heathens lent much to what is today for most a Christian observance.
So the pagans lent much to what is today Christian observance. And not just the page on closer view. Flip over to that picture. Look like this. Try to give you some visuals.
Hey, boy, Chronos.
You see it? It's up there, okay. All right, you got the Chronos celebration and all that. Let's read the caption while they see the picture. We'll leave the caption up there. The picture up there. So what does it say? The pagans what?
The pagans of the Northland, some having survived months of everlasting night, celebrated the first hint of sunlight at year's end with the no-holds-barred festival called Yule.
It said a no-holds-barred festival called Yule. So just like you said about Christmas or the Saturnalia celebration, it said unrestrained excess. What does this got to do with Jesus? We ain't found it yet. This is a way for people to party and just give up all their money, for sure. If you can find it. The pagans of the Northlands, what does it say? Some having survived months of everlasting night, celebrated the first hints of sunlight as year's end with a no-holds-barred festival called Yule. Go ahead.
During Yule, when light remained scarce and legions of ghosts were presumed to be everywhere in the blackness.
This is what they believe.
Nothing was more comforting than the burning of a bright Yule log.
So they were scared of the dark, really, and they assumed that because it was dark, it was ghosts over there. And that's what they put out anyway. That's what they put us on TV and have us scared of the dark too. That's what they do now. But you pay to get scared. You pay to get scared of the dark. Because that's what you believe. They put that on you. That spirit on them, they put it on you. Now you scared of the dark. Now you think because it's dark, some over there in the dark. And the first thing we want to do is what? Turn on some light, right? But they made a whole celebration out of this thing. So what people do on December 25th, they get them a Yule log and all that and get eggnog and all that other stuff, right? Not even understanding what it's pointing back to. Some people believe that it was some devils in the dark because the days was getting shorter. And then to keep them company or safe, they burn a Yule log so it can be light. So the devils don't come over there or whatever they say. It says during Yule, when light remained scarce and legions of ghosts were presumed to be everywhere in the blackness. You scared of the dark because you think ghosts is everywhere, but on the October 31st, you dress up like a ghost or a devil. You spend money to do that. So when Paul say money is the root of all evil, this is the root. This is what the root has caused. Paganism. That must be stopped. People going broke to do this stuff that you ain't even supposed to be doing. Folks depressed, ready to kill themselves because they didn't get a present. Same with their birthday too. See, that's a problem, right? You can talk about Christmas, just don't talk about birthdays. You know why? Because it represents somebody worshiping or acknowledging you. That's probably why you want to hold. Oh, it's no problem. It's the same thing. Somebody got to spend some money. If you don't get a gift, you depressed. Nobody loved you. All that stuff. Well, who gave you that? Oh, yeah, it's not in the Bible. Well, Halloween ain't in the Bible either, but you ain't doing that. But I could actually read the birthday celebration in the Bible in Isaiah 65. When they made a table for that number, for that truth, which translates to Gad, which is a genus or an angel. That's what it is. But we got a lesson on there to show you. It said, when light remained scarce and legions of ghosts were presumed to be everywhere in the blackness, nothing was more comforting They wouldn't think about Jesus or God comforting them at all. Nothing was more comforting than the burning of a bright Yule log. What is it?
A tradition that would later make the short stop from Norway to England. Yule was also a time for brewing and drinking ale, itself a useful antidote to haunting.
It is a useful antidote to haunting. So when you feel like you're being haunted or you scared, get drunk. That's all to help you. You don't be scared of nothing then. Get drunk, get wasted, get wasty when you feel like you're being haunted. That's probably why people get drunk today, because they done did something they weren't supposed to, and they just be drinking to cover them every day, right? You never know. Go ahead. Doing the what?
During the pagan fest, the rule was little work and much play.
Doing the what fest?
During the pagan fest.
But God told us don't have any other gods before us, though, right? So it said during the pagan fest, the rule was little work and what?
Much play.
See, they let you off on their days, right? Their holidays, you get off, right? Yeah, you get off so you can go do what? Spend some money. But on your holiday, on your holy day, you can't get off. Because they want what again? Money. They want you to produce money for them. And why, when it comes to the holy days or the God's holy days, people that so-called believers, they don't even take off the holy days. Why you don't take it off? Because of what? Money. For the love of money, you will worship the money. That's why folks be scared to lose their job for one doggone day. They can't take a day off. You fearing them over fearing God. What he had to say, how he feel about it. So what God are you worshiping when you don't keep the Sabbath day? What God are you worshiping? When you work on the holy days, what God are you worshiping? You worshiping that in God we trust on that dollar bill. And then everybody looking for the mark of the beast like it's some chip or something where you don't even know you most likely got it or operating in that system right now. But again, we're going to further expound on it. You know, Brother Ann did some groundwork for us last week. But it said, during the pagan fest, the rule was little work and much play. Go ahead.
Though much about Yule remains unclear, most agreed that ale was at the heart of the festivities.
Some beer. Go ahead.
The term Drickel means both drink Yule and celebrate Yule.
They're celebrating Yule. So Soulja Boy was on to something. He wasn't talking about that. The term Drickel meant both drink Yule and celebrate Yule. Go ahead.
Of course, the Vikings had good reason to imbibe. They believed that ale would bring them nearer to the gods.
Oh my goodness gracious! So imagine you make it go out some ale when y'all celebrating these feasts and think it's about Jesus. No way. See, that's what they did it for. See, we doing that. See, we doing that, but we're not doing it because of that. What you doing it though? That's why we have to understand what worship means, though. Your actions. Yeah, we're not doing it for that. You right. Now, if you read something out of the Bible and somebody's saying they doing something out of the Bible, but they changed it or something, it's different. When you can read things out of the Bible, it's different regardless of what anybody got to say. If you can read it and prove it out of the Bible, you good. But to come up with this other stuff that God didn't tell you to do, you're going to run into problems when you're trying to explain, oh, yeah, we doing the same thing they did, but not like we're not doing it for that reason. But you're doing the same thing. So your worship shows your action shows who you worship. So he said, we can only imagine that the revelry that ensued. We can only imagine the revelry that ensued. They can only imagine. It got crazy. Go ahead.
The Romans, too, celebrated what they called the birth of the unconquerable son.
Read that one more time.
The Romans, too, celebrated what they called the birthday of the unconquerable son, S-U-N.
We don't see none of that in the Bible, though, right? You don't see no history on the Israelites celebrating anybody's birthday, let alone the son's birthday, S-U-N. It said the Romans, too, celebrated what they call the birthday. Ain't it funny how they call December 25th now the birthday of the Son? Well, they say the Son of God, so they try to trick you, right? They say it's Jesus. He the Son. See, that's why we really doing it. That's how you feel, right? It said the Romans too celebrated what they call the birthday of the what again?
Unconquerable Son.
With what?
With one solemn day after Saturnalia.
Which what?
The date set aside was December 25.
The day set aside was December 25, or December 25th. Let's flip over to this one. This is still out of time life. Christmas around the world. Hopefully y'all like the visuals. I just couldn't print out 30 joints each person. All right, is that the one up? This one. Praise God, man. All right. Go ahead. So this birthday of the unconquerable Son, they set it aside for the 20th. So now let's read this. What does it say?
No one knows when Christ was born.
What does it say?
No one knows when Christ was born.
That's a fact. Nobody even knows when Christ was born. So how can we claim this is his birthday and it's about him if nobody even knows? So do you have to ask yourself, how do we get this? And that's what we're learning now. How do we get it? Why? What is it about? It was really about money. Because if it wasn't making no money, I bet you nobody would care about it. They wouldn't be perpetuating it or promoting it. People go broke doing this, right? People go broke. People be tackling people, right, to get the gift. They made movies about that with Sinbad in it and Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day. The little action figure. And they chasing each other the whole movie over. But that's what's be going on. That's what these holidays make you greedy just like them. You tackle somebody for the last little gift or the last little joint on the shelf, and then what do? Do you feel bad about it or good? You feel good, like, yeah, God was with me. Praise God, I got the last one. Yeah, you tackle somebody to get it. You know, some old lady over to get it. But this supposed to be godly? No, this is about greed. For the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. And this day is looking really pretty evil. People get divorced at a high number around this time. People commit suicide at a high rate around this time. A lot of people are depressed around this time. It's real evil. But what's the root of the evil? The love of money. It said, no one knows when Christ was born. Go ahead and read.
A safe bet is within 7 years of the first year AD.
That's all they can tell you. Within the 7 years of the first of AD, the first. But what?
But it is a fool's wager to put money on a specific day.
It ain't no chance you can win. Go ahead.
July 4 would be as likely as December 25.
It's making a point. July 4th is just as likely as December 25th. That means nobody knows. Shoot, he died at 33 and a half, so if you go 6 months prior, it definitely wouldn't be no July 4th. But they're making a point to show that you can pick any day on the calendar to say that's when he was born. But why the 25th? Go ahead and read.
In earliest Christianity, Christ's birthday had no fixed date.
Say that again.
In earliest Christianity, Christ's birthday had no fixed date.
In the earliest Christianity, Christ's birthday didn't have no date. They wasn't doing no birthday stuff, none of that anyway. What else does it say?
The very earliest followers of Christ, the apostles, the gospel writers, St. Paul, were persuasive in their message and quickly gained adherents and devotees.
We read some of that in Acts 19, right? There was like Paul, he persuaded a lot of people that Diana, we shouldn't be serving her. or building no shrines or no idols or nothing. Go ahead.
As Christianity attained something approaching a toehold in the Roman Empire, it represented itself clearly as a minority religion.
That's why Peter said things like, if you suffer as a Christian. It was a minority religion. Go ahead. Funny. Go ahead.
An opposition religion.
An opposition religion, opposed to what? Wicked powers, wicked rulers, to the oppression, of course. Go ahead.
It celebrated the birth of Christ solemnly and viewed with opprobrium the end of the year hedonism that attended Saturnalia.
So now it's telling you, it's gonna take you into the future times after Paul and them, when they actually start to blend the celebrations of Christ with the pagan celebrations of the Yule and Saturnalia. That's what we get into now. Look what it says. It says, it celebrated the birth of Christ solemnly and viewed with opprobrium. Okay, so now let's see what it's saying. Go pull up opprobrium. We got another definition. Something like this. You should see opprobrium. Something like this. This word.
Just that one word.
Yeah. So even when they claim to be celebrating Christ, they looked at these other celebrations with opprobrium. What was he saying? Did he hear? Can you hear it? Whatever. You got it? Opprobrium? Go ahead, opprobrium.
Opprobrium. The disgrace or the reproach incurred by conduct considering outrageously shameful, infamy. Number 2 is a cause or object of such disgrace or reproach.
So these people that call themselves celebrating the birth of Christ, they looked at these end of the year festivals with opprobrium, meaning with disgrace, or they considered it outrageously shameful, infamy. They said, look how these people acting. These people look crazy. This is a shame they're doing all this stuff. What else to say?
A cause or object of such disgrace or reproach.
Go back to the Time Life article. It said, or the history excerpt. It said it celebrated the birth of Christ opprobrium. So these people call themselves solemnly celebrating Christ, birth of Christ, and even they started looking at these pagans. Well, they didn't even understand who they were. Clearly, they thought they were doing the right thing, but they looked at these Saturnalia and Yule feasts as shameful. It said they view with opprobrium the end of the year hedonism. Let's see what hedonism means. Look up hedonism or hedonism. You got it? Yes, sir. So what does it say about hedonism? What is the definition of hedonism? Because it said it celebrated the birth of Christ solemnly in view with opprobrium, the end of the year. Hedonism. What is this hedonism? Go ahead.
Hedonism, number 1, the doctrine that plies good.
So remember we were talking about how you feel, right? Just because if something feels good don't mean it's right. So that's what people are not understanding because it feels good. Oh, this got to be okay. Everybody see their family and hugging and all that. That's all you hear about. That's all you experience in your little bubble. But this hedonism is simply the doctrine that pleasure or happiness is the highest good. That's why I had to tell you in 1 Timothy that gain is not godliness. So folks get some money or something and say, oh yeah, I got to be doing right. No. What else is it? What else is hedonism?
Number 2, Devotion to pleasure as a way of life.
Devotion to pleasure as a way of life. They're only concerned about themselves and what feels good to them. They whole lifetime, they're just looking to have fun and to pleasure themselves. That's what the world teaches to do. Go after our own individual goals and idealisms. It said this is devotion to pleasure as a way of life. That's why they teach you. You get money. You start getting money. Don't help nobody. Start going on vacation trips and all that. That's what they teach you to do. But that's the pride of life. The pride of life or the lust of the flesh. But what are they trying to get you to do? Spend that money. Because they done taught you this is your way of life. Your way of life is hedonistic. Get a good job so you can spend it. So you can start to have pleasure. And that's where this custom comes from. It's feeling good, a good feeling. But you don't understand what's happening behind the scenes or even care to know where it really comes from, what's really going on to keep this holiday going. It said devotion to pleasure as a way of life. What did it say?
The latter, it's an example. The latter Roman emperors were notorious for their hedonism.
They were notorious for the hedonism. They did whatever they wanted to do and had you doing it too. And that's what's going on now. So go back to the time life. It said, in opposition religion, it celebrated the birth of Christ solemnly and viewed with opprobrium, hatred, the end of the year, hedonism that what?
Attended Saturnalia. As it would be through the ages, particularly when Puritans weighed in, but even today, in our postmodern world, the tension between the sacred face of Christmas and its festive side was evident. Converts to Christianity heard what their preachers were saying about circumspection.
Said converts to Christianity, they heard what their preachers were saying concerning action and reverence, being aware of what you're doing, what you're following. Like we just discussed in the beginning of the lesson, believe not every spirit, try the spirits, whether it be of God, because there's many false prophets. It started off that way. Look, concerning circumspection and reverence, it started off pretty good. Go ahead.
But they were reluctant to forego all manner of celebration and fun.
But they wanted to have fun, so they couldn't let it all go. They understood what the preacher was saying, but they couldn't let the fun. It was so fun. So people are chasing a feeling. They have fun. Commandments because it feels comfortable. It feels good. It's a lot of fun. That's why when it comes to us dealing with God, that's what some of and y'all can't have no fun. That's all you're concerned about? You think we don't have fun. That's up to you. What's fun to you? What's fun to you? That's the question you should ask. What's fun? Going to the strip club or something? That's fun for you, huh? That's what we missing out on? Sleeping around, that's what we missing out on, huh? Watching cartoons in the morning on Saturday, that's what we missing? Watching your favorite movie on Saturday or something, that's what we missing? Friday night, what we missing? That's fun, huh? You a whole grown person talking like that. It said, but they were reluctant to forego all manner of celebration and, fun. What'd he say?
Pagan rites and Saturnalia were part of their life.
Hey, pagan rites and Saturnalia, that was just part of their life. That's what we experience nowadays, right? It just be a part of their life. Especially some of the stuff we talking now. If you're gonna be a business owner, pay everybody fairly, can you do that? Nah, man. That's tough. But it's for the love of money. Go ahead.
Even as they sought to be Christ-like.
Even as they claim to be, or even as they sought to be Christ-like. What did it say?
Eventually, their leaders decided it was best to go with the flow.
Hey, the leaders even decided, hey, man, it's just best to go with the flow. It said even the leaders decided it's just best to go with the flow. Because what is it about? They don't want to lose members, right? If you lose members, you lose what? Money. How else can you get government funding? You can't. How you get government funding and speaking against the government? That ain't gonna work. So you know what? It's best to just go with the flow. We'll accept you want to have fun and keep the pagan rights. I know, as long as you believe in Jesus. Eventually, their leaders decided it was better to go with the flow. What?
Co-opting and toning down the merriment while ascribing to some rituals a Christian significance.
So they was picking and choosing. What they claimed was easy or hard. All right, the hard stuff, I know you can't do that. It's cool. It's all right. You okay. We're going to tone that part down. It said ascribing to some rituals a Christian significance. What did it say?
Christmas, yet without a name.
It didn't have a name yet.
Began taking shape.
It started to form. Go ahead and read.
As to the term and the date, with Christianity suddenly a true force.
As to the term and the date, with Christianity suddenly a true force. Go ahead.
The Bishop of Rome ordered in 137 AD that Christ's birth be honored with the festival.
So Christ's birth needs to be honored with a festival. Go ahead.
In 325, the first Christian emperor, Constantine the Great, provable.
Flip it.
Feast to be observed on December 25, a day with built-in residence in the area. By then, the holy day was known as Mass of Christ.
So by then, the holy day was known as Mass of Christ, or Christ. That's where Christ's Mass is going to come from. Go ahead.
Christ Mass, Christmas. Since Christ's name in Greek is Christos, many centuries later, circa 1500, Christmas will be called by some societies Xmas.
Right, and folks call themselves Christians. Like, man, don't call it Xmas. And they don't even know what they're talking about. We got to be educated, man. That's what we're trying to do. I don't have to read 80 Bible scriptures every week. We got to understand what we are reading and how it applies to the Bible in real time. And I'm not dissing nobody. I'm just saying we have to be educated if we really trying to make moves and do stuff. We have to know what we are doing. We have to know what we're talking about. You can't go up to everybody and say, yeah, you know you're not supposed to eat no pork, right? But you don't know nothing else. It says, remember, being wise as serpents, right? Circa 1500, Christmas will be called by some societies Xmas, because what? In Greek, Christos, which started with an X. So they said Xmas, which still means Christmas. Go ahead.
In 20th century America, this would come to be seen by many as a denigration. But in fact, it was as respectful as the original Roman term.
Right, so people in America thought they were so smart. Oh, man, you don't change it to Xmas. But they didn't know that it's held the same respect as the original Roman term. But it's all pagan anyway, no matter if you slap Jesus on it or anything. All right, going to why the next one. Why did Santa come down the chimney? This one look like this. We're just showing how, some of this stuff is just downright foolish. So why is Jesus being attached to it? Why are they promoting all this stuff? What's it really about? It's really about money. They want you to spend. But we're going to go into the history of why it's just foolish. You see it? You got it up there? And look at, see if you can find this little picture too. No, this one by itself. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, read that from the top. Dang, I had the website on it. I'm sorry, I ain't got the website on there. But I got it too. Chimney. You can copy that. You don't copy the chimney part, but the URL. I had it all laid out there. All right. So you can follow that URL he's putting on the screen if you want to read it for yourself, but it's literally what you're seeing is literally on the website. So read that from the top about the chimney.
Whilst we are steeped in Christmas traditions, the question, why does Santa Claus come down the chimney, is still a regularly asked question.
Like, people really ask the question, why he come down the chimney? Like, that's really something to be asking, but the question, why he got to come down the chimney? Where that come from? Go ahead.
Particularly by children who understandably fail to see the logic or the practicality in such a possibility.
They're smarter than adults. Like, how he coming down the chimney? But the parents are the one teaching them that. Kids like, how he fit down the chimney? Well, they got enough sense, right? See, the parents be more worried about Christmas than the kids. Go ahead.
The idea of Santa Claus coming down the chimney dates back centuries and travels across many countries. Back in pre-Christian times.
You keep seeing this. Back before the Nativity, saw 2,000 years before the Nativity. Then it said before Christian times. The who?
The Norse god Odin would enter homes via chimneys at the winter solstice.
The Norse god Odin would enter homes via chimneys at the winter solstice. Ain't that something? But yeah, see, we're not doing it for that. You know, we believe in Jesus. No, we read that in works you can deny him, right? We're gonna find out what's really going on with this stuff. It's producing a lot of money. That's all. It said back in pre-Christian times, the Norse god Odin would enter homes via chimneys at the winter solstice. What else?
The Italians had a witch who traditionally delivered gifts across the nation on Epiphany Eve.
Don't worry about it. Say witch, but it's good witches. Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's good witches. You know that, right? You know it's good witches. You know how we know you know it's good witches? Because you dress up for one on Halloween. Ain't that something? Show them the picture. Put that picture up of that picture right there. And so the Italians had a witch who traditionally delivered gifts across the nation on Epiphany Eve. Go ahead.
This witch, Befana, would be covered in soot accumulated from her various journeys down the chimney.
So that means she came down ashy. She was covered in soot. So you got an ashy witch coming down, handing gifts out. The foolishness. You see the picture, look like a little witch in the back, don't it? Don't y'all see that on the camera? It look like a little witch in the back, the person with the hood. But it's funny, that's really not even describing what we're reading. It's describing the next one. All right, go ahead. The next picture. Go back to the other one, the previous one. Let's read some more. Much of what?
Much of the tradition of Santa coming down the chimney, however, can be attributed to St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas was a Turkish bishop back in the 4th century.
A Turkish bishop. Go ahead.
Famous for his kindness and generosity.
They don't trip. I mean, Turkey, that's one of the places Paul went to preach. It could be righteous. It could be Christian or a follower of Christ or something, you know, a holy person. Go ahead.
Particularly towards children. His death on December 6th gave rise to St. Nicholas Day. He was, it is said, a rich man who allegedly gave rise to another Christmas tradition when he wanted to help his daughters get married.
So he wanted to help his daughters get married. This rich man, he wanted to help his daughters get married. What'd he do?
By filling their stockings with gifts and leaving them near the fire to dry.
He filled their stockings with gifts and leaving. He filled their stockings. So it ain't that sock you see on in the store. He filled their stockings with gifts. And was they wet or something? Because he leaving it next to the fire to dry, right? Go ahead.
The fire, which was, of course, just underneath the chimney.
Right, so apparently the witch gonna come through. Well, that's a different place, so I ain't gonna say it. But usually when you come down the chimney during December 20, it's fire burning. Go ahead.
In the 1600s, a Dutch artist by the name of John Steen.
And that was that picture you saw come on the screen previously. We just pointed out how they look like a witch. Go ahead.
Painted a picture called The Feast of St. Nicholas.
What is going on in the picture?
You can see this painting in
You can
the
pull that other one up.
something museum
Yeah, it's something. Yeah.
Rejects Museum. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? You see this painting in the Rejects Museum in Amsterdam. It depicts St. Nicholas Day, December 6th, which is still a traditional day for the giving of Christmas presents in some countries.
What's going on there?
St. Nicholas has delivered his gifts as onlookers stare up the chimney.
Look how he looked, though. It looked like a witch back there, though. That's what I was saying. Go ahead.
With the clear inference that that's how St. Nicholas has arrived.
Go ahead.
Additionally, there have long been traditions that Santa's little helpers, the elves, entered through those chimneys.
Man,
Enter houses through chimneys.
like, how does got something to do with Jesus? You said you're not doing that. I feel you. I feel you. We're not doing it for that. We're doing it for Jesus. Well, we know, we already read that nobody knows his birthday. And how all these pagan celebrations got incorporated into what is now called the birth of Christ or Christmas. All right, pull up that picture of this devil-looking dude with the horns. Krampus. We don't have the picture because it's too much. I didn't put all that on there. I just know what was happening. So you see the picture of the devil dude, right? You got the picture up there? Yes, sir. Krampus. What's that title say?
Truth behind the legend of Krampus, Austria's creepiest holiday tradition.
So behind Krampus, the legend of Krampus, Austria's creepiest holiday, or the creepiest character of the holiday, something to that effect. So let's read it. So you got the little devil dude up there, looking crazy, because that's really what this stuff is about. Why would you call yourself believing in God, celebrating this? I mean, you could say it's the birth of Jesus, but we already read that it ain't. So they got people doing all these devilish things for some money. All right, go ahead to that. What did it say after what?
After the movie Krampus came out, there were many people left wondering what the real story was behind the goat horned creature.
Right, you got the same goat horn or half man, half goat creature on what? Valentine's Day, Lupercalis, or some to that effect. But we know Valentine's Day is not in the Bible, right? But you don't celebrate it, do you? So that can't be an excuse for reasons. That can't be an excuse for you to do some pagan stuff. Oh, it's not in the Bible. Show me that in the Bible. Yeah, do what you want to do. That's all you got to say. Just say I'm gonna do what I want to do. How about that? No point in wasting nobody's time. You just want to do it. After the movie Krampus came out, what were they wondering?
There were many people left wondering what the real story was behind the goat horn creature.
You put stuff right in your face too. Go ahead.
That's 3 times the size of the average human and evil to the core.
You can go back to you find the words if you can. Folks gonna be sitting there creeped out. Go ahead.
This is not the only instance in which Krampus has been seen.
This ain't the only instance in which Krampus has been seen. Go ahead.
Though, and in Austria, the legend of the beast goes hand in hand with how a child behaves up until Christmas Eve.
Well, they say the same thing about Kris Kringle or St. Nicholas. He know when you are sleeping, right? You know you've been good or bad. But that sounds like a false god. They know when you sleep and they know when you get in bed. That sounds like a god to me. But it say he knows. It said it goes hand in hand with how a child behaves up until Christmas Eve. And there's even more history on what they used to leave out. You know, the milk and cookies. They also used to leave out alcohol too for the Krampus dude. They used to leave out the milk and cookies to please the Krampus or give it to Santa. Look how we talk. We talk about some false gods like it's real. That's how crazy it is over some doggone money. And we're going to see what's really going on behind the scenes. It says the legend of the beast goes hand in hand with how a child behaves up until Christmas Eve. So you better be good, right? Go ahead.
There's a type of back and forth in Germany when it comes to St. Nicholas and Krampus. And if a child makes the right choices and behaves well, they can expect to find gifts under the tree the next day. However, if they misbehave and break the rules, it just might happen that Krampus will be the one sliding down the chimney rather than St. Nick.
Oh, so a devil slide down the chimney. Ain't that something? Let's see, man. Let's go back to the Bible before somebody get upset. Let's go back to the Bible real quick. Go to 1 Corinthians real quick. 1 Corinthians. You know, when you put out this history and stuff, it just proves the Bible to be true even more. It just proves your case. It proves you understand what you're really talking about. You can apply it to what's really going on now. And folks that say, oh, yeah, that Bible, that's what I'm 1 Corinthians happening now. Some of this stuff last week and even a week before. Verse 20. Go ahead. You can read. You can drink real quick.
No, you get
1 Corinthians 10 and 20.
But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice,
Right, those other nations. Go ahead.
they sacrifice to devils.
Yeah, it's really saying. That's what it traces all the way back to him. He's a prince of the power of the air, right? That's all you're going to see from now on. Christmas this, Christmas that. Cornucopias and for Thanksgiving, all of that too. Christmas trees, lights, all of that. And you ain't going to see nothing about Jesus at all. I don't even think you see a church commercial about Jesus. Well, maybe you do, but it's about some money, right? Because you'll go there and you'll throw that money in there because you're in the Christmas spirit. You know, the Lord's been good. I'm in the Christmas spirit. Let me write this check. Yeah. Why not invite people for Christmas to church? So he said, but I say that the things with the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice the devils, right? You'll sacrifice your old paycheck. You put a lot of things up. You'll sacrifice a lot of things for this holiday or to any other celebration. But it seemed like it's just funny how we would do this when we was in the world, and when it comes to sacrificing for God, we can't do it. We're like, oh no. He said, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice the devils and who?
And not to God.
No, it can't be both. You can't say it's this for Jesus. You can't. Because we already found out it's some devil stuff. If you're not good, the devil gonna come down your chimney to the fire and all that and walk through it. Come on now. He said, and not to God and not what?
And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils.
Skip on down to verse 7. Jump up. I'm sorry. Verse 6. Excuse me. Verse 6.
Now these things were our examples to the intent we should not lust after evil things.
Well, it can feel good, right? They teach you to love these things. It said to the intent we should not lust after evil things, right? Back in the wilderness, they built a false god and started to play and all that, right? Go ahead. Party and all that.
As they also lusted.
What he say? What else he say?
Neither be ye idolaters.
Neither be ye idolaters. So be careful what you do for money, right? Go ahead.
As were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play.
They wanted to have fun, right? We read in Time Life, right? That they couldn't forego the fun that came with the festival. To the point where the preachers was like, you know what, I understand. Well, that's some of the same things that happened in the wilderness, right? What did Aaron do? Oh, yeah, you're right, man. Let's build some false gods. And then he tried to blame the people after that. It's what the people wanted. But you're supposed to be the leader. The shepherd, right? That's what a shepherd is, not no preacher, it's a leader. But we'll break that down in another time. All right. It said, neither be ye idolaters as what?
As were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play.
What else?
Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed it, and fell in one day 320,000.
So we read in Time Life, it was unrestrained excess. And then they said about the Yule celebration, God knows what they was doing. So when it came to these false gods they was worshiping back in the wilderness, you can read in Numbers 25 that they was worshiping false gods and dealing with the women and fornicating and committing whoredom. You can read it in the opening verse in Numbers 25. That was going on when they were worshiping these false gods. Fornication or whoredom was going on as well. Same things we see today in real time, right? You have all these parties and get crazy and wild, right? and do God knows what. Verse 11.
Now all these things happen unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come.
Go ahead.
Wherefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall.
Wherefore let him that thinketh. See, it's about you gotta let the feelings go. You think you're good. You better take heed, you know what you're doing, lest you fall. Verse 14.
Wherefore, my dearly beloved.
Man, I love you. That's what he said, my dearly beloved. I love y'all. I got a lot of love for y'all. What'd he say?
Flee from idolatry.
Run. We read this last week, I believe. Get out of there. Okay, so I think that was good for there. Let's go back to that handout. We at where did crumpets come from? We just want to hop in to the Bible real quick. Where did Krampus come from, right? Yep, that one. You got that one up there? Yes, sir. Where did Krampus come from? It's the first time I had to tell people, pull your cell phones out in class. Where did Krampus come from? All right, go ahead.
Krampus is half goat and half man.
I told you, just like on Valentine's Day, another half goat, half man individual. Go ahead.
Just like Santa Claus.
Just like what?
Santa Claus or Saint Nicholas in Germany, he comes around to visit children on Christmas Eve. Specifically, the tale of Krampus hails from the Alpine region of Austria, where it is not difficult to imagine a horned goat-like man coming out of the foothills or descending from the mountains.
Just like them folks thought it was ghosts in the dark. Go ahead.
The legend of his existence has been around for centuries, and even to this day.
Even to what?
Even to this day.
Oh, this is real time. Go ahead.
He's celebrated during a festival referred to as Krampusnacht, which translates to Krampus Night. The origins of Krampus are rooted in pagan belief surrounding the winter solstice.
But pay attention. The origins of Krampus are rooted in pagan belief surrounding the winter solstice, but what?
But were eventually incorporated into Christianity as well.
Go ahead.
Where St. Nicholas actually pays a visit early in December.
It says St. Nicholas actually pays a visit early in December. Go ahead.
Alternatively, this is also when Krampus makes his own rounds to children who don't behave as they should.
So which one is it? Is it Krampus or Santa? On to that last little excerpt. It's a little one. There's far more what?
There's far more to this mythical being than what's seen in pop culture, though.
Oh, there's more to it than what's seen.
From his origins to the equally disturbing creatures he has to do his bidding the night before Christmas. Although his legend was created to spook children into doing the right thing, the message here is clear. Be good or...
He coming through. He coming through. All right. What does it take to produce money? Anybody know? It takes somebody to do some work, don't it? Go into Malachi 3. We'll come back to this next handout. The grim truth of Chinese factories. We'll come back to that. Go to Malachi, the third chapter. All right, Malachi 3 and 5. All right, Malachi 3 and 5. Go ahead.
And I will come near you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts.
So the one that oppressed people in their wages is in the same category as sorcerers and adulterers and liars, false swearers, and all of that. Ain't that something? Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to Habakkuk 3 or 2. Habakkuk 2. All right. Habakkuk 2 and 13. Matter of fact, 12. Habakkuk 2 and 12. Go ahead.
Woe to him that buildeth the town with blood, and establishes a city by iniquity.
He said, woe to him that establishes a town with blood and establishes a city by iniquity. So we're going to go into, in a second, we're going to go into how this holiday keeps producing all this money and all that. We're going to see how. Somebody doing something. How you getting all these toys? What's happening? We're going to find out. Keep going. 13.
Behold, is it not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall be weary, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity?
People wearying themselves for vanity. Skip on down to verse 18.
What profits the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it?
What is the profit? What's the profit? They said, what profit is the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it? What else?
The molten image and a teacher of lies.
Oh, so then not only they build these graven images or they come up with these pagan practices, somebody teaching it. Right? The teacher of lies, it say, right? Somebody teach you to do it. It said, what profit is the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it, the molten image and the teacher of lies that what?
That the maker of his work trusts therein to make dumb idols.
Making dumb idols. What made them do this? Go ahead.
Woe unto him that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise, it shall teach. Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it.
So you just you made a god. That's what it's saying. You just making a god. Who told you? And you teaching people to observe. But we read last week, I believe, those that trust in lying vanities, what do? They forsake their own mercy. So what was you supposed to do with this stuff? Let's go into, you know what? We're going to hold our market. We're going to hold that for the end. We're going to hold that for the end. Let's go into, you know what? Let's stay in the book for a second. I want to prove something. Go to Acts 17. Acts 17. And just to prove the fact that we need to know things that are happening. We need to know history. We need to know what's going on currently. We need to know things in real time. We need to know what's going on. We can't just know Bible scriptures and quote Bible scriptures and not know how to apply them to real time. We need to know things. Because, you know, somebody could watch a list like this, man, they only read like 5 scriptures. So what? We're going to see why it's important. Go to Acts 17. Acts 17 and read verse 22. Acts 17 and 22. Go ahead.
Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, Ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are too superstitious. And beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God.
Right, because people don't even, just like when they came up with Christmas, they wouldn't even specify yet. None of that. So this is what it could have looked like. I found an altar with the inscription, to the unknown God. Go ahead.
Whom therefore ye ignorantly worship.
You are ignorantly worshiping. You don't even know what you are worshiping. And the Lord can have mercy on people that don't know. When you think you know, he said, take heed lest you fall. Just like he said about the Pharisees that delivered him to Pilate. He said, no, don't worry about it. The people that delivered me up to you, they got the greatest sin. They're going to get this work. Just like he said, if I had not spoken to you, you may have had a cloak for your sin. But you said, you know everything. You ain't got no cloak for your sin. So these people happen to be ignorantly worshiping the unknown God. Go ahead.
Him declare I unto you.
What else is he going to say? Because this is something he said in Acts 19 as well. That's what they were addressing. Go ahead.
God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worship with men's hands, as though he need anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things.
Right. God ain't even somebody you can resent, like you can make an image of. Just like he came to them on the mount, they didn't see nothing but a cloud. That's all they saw. Saw some thunder and then lightning. That's all they saw. So he's not even somebody you can really, let alone dwell in the temple made with hands. It ain't something you can make that represent him or resembles him. It ain't nothing you can do. So skip on down to verse 28. Look what it says here. And this is the point I'm going to make. Watch this.
For in him we live.
In God we live, right? Go ahead.
And move and have our being. As certain also of your own poets have said.
How does he know what their poets have said without him studying or learning anything outside of the Bible? Why was it important enough for him to know this stuff right here about their poets? He knew about this stuff, and we don't. We don't have to do anything out. We don't have to look at no history, nothing outside the Bible. It said, "For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said." What?
For we are also his offspring.
All right, look at the look for one with the statue head. Aratus. Aratus. Yeah, Aratus. Now look for the Britannica. Flip over to it's probably in the back. It's the Britannica. So this is who Paul was quoting. Aratus. Like that. Go. Aratus. Britannica. Got it? Yes, sir. All right, go ahead and read it. Aratus.
Aratus, Greek poet of Sali in Cilicia, best remembered for his poem on astronomy.
Mm-hmm. Paul knew this guy, huh? Go ahead.
Phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
He resided at the courts of Antigonus II, Gonatas, king of Macedonia, and Antiochus I of Syria. The phenomena, a didactic poem in hexameters, is his only complex extant work.
Completely
extant work.
I know it's kind of rough.
You got a bunch of crazy work.
We'll get to the point. Skip on down to it was admired by. It was admired by.
It was admired by Callimachus and enjoyed a high reputation among the Romans. Cicero, Germanicus, Julius Caesar, and Avienus translated it. The two last versions and fragments of Cicero's survive.
Now pay attention right here. Go ahead.
One verse from the famous opening invocation to Zeus became even more famous because he was quoted in the New Testament. Acts 17:28.
What did he say?
For in him we live and move and have our being, as even some of your own poets have said, for we too are his offspring.
So look what he knew, though. Look at what he knew. Things outside of the scriptures. It was important enough for him to know, right? How could he even relate to these people? But he tried to relate to them, showing them that this God y'all speaking of, I know him. He said, even your own poets have spoken of one God. So it's important to get information, to get educated. That's the only reason we pulled that out. It still pertains to the lesson because it's dealing with these unknown gods and all that. But to get educated, we're looking at an educated individual. So it's going to take more than just us simply just reading the Bible and that's it. We're going to have to study, research, and get educated. That's all. What else happened? Go on to the next one. What's his name? Epimetheus.
Epimetheus.
Hold on, wait till you bring it up. You got Epimetheus. Show the matter of fact, Epimetheus, but show the black one, the black picture with his head on the screen. And it should have a quote next to it. The Cretans are liars or something like that. So let's go to Titus 1 before you read that. Go to Titus 1. Everybody go to Titus 1. Because it's for the love of money. We're showing you what they had to say about some of these folks. Greedy and lazy. Yes. Yeah, we stole this right out of the Britannica and off the internet. You know, folks say we be stealing. Yeah, we stole it right off the internet. You can type Epimetheus in and find out yourself. All right, go into the Britannica, pull the Britannica. We just wanted to show you that. Go into Titus 1. Epimetheus. Epimetheus, excuse me. Epimetheus. What? What? What did that? How you say it?
Hey, it sounds good to me. Epimetheus.
Okay, Epimetheus.
That's good.
You got it. Whatever you come up with, because I don't know.
We'll see that. Whatever.
Go ahead. Titus 1 and 12. It's Paul again, right? Titus 1 and 12. By studying, right? Seeking after knowledge, right? Like we got brothers to know how to determine where that come from. It all come from God, but so we need to know. Brothers know how to calculate the moon. Where that come from? Why is that important? We need to know. You have to educate. All right, Titus 1 and verse 12. What does it say?
Even a prophet of their own said the creatures are always liars.
He said the Christians are always liars. Right? We read something about that in Habakkuk about somebody lying and being a teacher of lies. But what's he call them?
Evil beasts.
He said they evil beasts. What else?
Slow bellies.
Slow belly. So we read in their wages. They get pressed by people like this. Slow belly and lazy. So they gluttonous, greedy, and lazy. That's why we established months ago that rich man, whatever the rich man work. No, they want you to work. But one of their own poets, or even one of themselves, even a prophet of their own, excuse me, the Christians are always liars, evil beasts, and slow bellies. And that's a portion of what we quoted in Acts 17. For in him we live and move and have our being. All right, read that Britannica on Epimetheus. I'm gonna let you say it.
Epimetheus.
Epimetheus. Okay. All right, we almost done.
Epimetheus, a Cretan seer,
Reputed prophet, right? Just like the Bible say, right? History backs it up. Go ahead.
Reputed author of religious and poetic writings, including a Theogony Critica.
Was he an Israelite? Because they say, they don't say Israelite. They say he was a Cretan seer. Reputed author of religious and poetical writings, including what?
Theogony Critica and other mystical works.
So even though the works were mythical, meaning not real, Paul still read some of them, didn't he? Just like they had a fallout, even mentioned us reading the Apocrypha, remember? And we established that it's not, the Maccabees is history. The rest of the Apocrypha is just Hebrew fiction. It gives us insight on the mindset of the Hebrews at that time. That's all it's for. But it's important information to study. Clearly, if we read somebody about Paul, smarter than all of us. He even read an individual whose works was considered mythical. So we can't be made to feel ashamed by just simply studying, right? So it said, oh, you read that better than me. What did it say, Theogony?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Theogony Critica and other mystical works.
Mm-hmm.
Religious theories of an Orphic character were attributed to him as well. He conducted purificatory rites at Athens about 500 BCE.
Skip on down to stories. I'm just the next one. Stories of his advance.
Stories of his advanced age, 157 or 299 years.
That's what they claim. Go ahead.
His miraculous sleep of 57 years.
Right.
His dealings with oracles and his wanderings outside the body have led some scholars to regard him as a legendary figure of a shamanistic type. For his reputed claim, cited by St. Paul the Apostle, Epimedes, a Cretan, is credited with invention of the paradox of the liar, in which a sentence says of itself that it is false, thus being true if it is false, and false if it is true.
Like you're telling the truth about a lie, I guess. Well, we was looking at how Paul quoted this individual. All right, now. He said, woe to them that establish a city by blood and all that stuff, right? And the worker or the builder of an idol, all oppressions, the worker and his wages, the Lord going to smite. But let's go and show you the truth, the current truth about this holiday stuff we celebrating. Let's go into this one, the grim truth of Chinese factories producing the West Christmas toy. So by even celebrating these holidays, you are helping the capitalists or this beast. But it's through oppression. Let's see how much they're gonna get paid. So read the title. You got it up there? Yes, sir. My man. Go ahead. The grim truth.
The grim truth of Chinese factories producing the West Christmas toys.
Read the undercover investigation.
Undercover investigation by China labor watches expose low wages.
Exposes what?
Watch exposes low wages.
Exposes low wages, but these rulers, they're not getting low wages. Why is the wages low? Because they're taking all the money and giving you pennies. For what purpose? For this holiday, so they get paid. Go ahead.
Hazardous chemicals and overtime beyond legal limits.
Even when some of us was working in factories, we would be exposed to harmful chemicals. They don't care. They still gonna pay you $8, $9, $10. I don't care. They're not splitting the bill with you, even if it was $40. They're not giving you they making billions. But even if you're getting paid $40, you think you're doing something? No, you're getting robbed too. Because you think you should be getting paid $200 or something like that. You should probably way more than that. I'm being generous. So now let's read what's actually going on to help this Christmas stuff. For the love of money, it got you worshiping this idolatry and all that. How are they doing this? How are they getting the wealth? How's the wealth being accumulated, right? This big business. We read it in the Bible, right? Through the idolatry. This is how they made their wealth, right? Let's look at it in real time. And this is an article from 2016. Clearly, it's up there. And we could probably find some current ones because, they ain't stopped. But anyway, let's see what's going on. Xiao
Fang thinks she's one of the luckier workers making Barbie dolls for the Christmas market at the Mattel Toy Factory in Cheyenne.
And that's how some of us be feeling. We be working overtime and all that. Yeah, shoot, I got a good job. They let me work all the overtime I can. Whole time you only making 12 something or 18 something, and you really think you got it's good. See, they make you love it. I had my own experience. I was making $12 an hour, $12.30. I was working 13, 14 hours or 60 hours a week. Like, man, I got a good job. My legs hurting and everything now. I think we can work all the overtime. They make you love it though. Whole time I was being oppressed. Didn't even know. I'm thinking I got a good job, but I'm being oppressed. But in this case, this is for a holiday, right? It says, true. She says what?
She works 11-hour days, 6 days a week,
Mm.
and shares a dormitory with 9 other women and gets to see her husband only once a week.
She said she wanted the luckier ones. Pull up the picture of the dormitory real quick for the folks. Is up there? I can't tell. All right. So this is a dormitory she living in with 9 other women. You don't even look like 9 bunk beds in the picture. This is all for some holiday, right? That they probably don't even celebrate. Ain't that something? But this is for big bucks, though. This is their big money time. But somebody gotta pay. So when you even celebrating this holiday, you are helping oppress. That's what we getting at. It's all for the love of money. True, she says. She works 11-hour days, 6 days a week, and shares a dormitory with 9 other women and gets to see her husband only once a week. How many husbands are okay with that? Well, if you don't have no choice, I guess that's what you got to deal with. What else? What it say?
She had to leave her 3-year-old daughter back home in Sichuan.
And you can't tell me this ain't tribulation or oppression. That's why it's important to know what tribulation actually means. What it actually looks like. This is what it looks like. She had to leave her 3-year-old daughter back home in Sichuan. And what?
And there's only a communal bathroom.
Only a communal bathroom. Go ahead.
And if they want hot water, they must fetch it from another floor.
But what she said?
But at least she has a job, she says. And others have it worse.
So that's how we could be feeling. We got a good job. At least I got a job. That's not always a good thing. Let's continue. Go ahead. Read Zal, because we read that last part. Read Zal.
Zal's one of.
Sorry, did you get up there? It say week at the top. It say week at the beginning. Like this. It say week. That one. It say week she had. I know some of y'all, probably some folks watching, trying to hang on. Don't worry about it. It's recorded. Say week. She's
the only one I've seen that's reference to that.
It should be grim. Grim something. Yeah, praise God. Teamwork made the dream work. All right, cool. We're going to continue with Zhao.
Zhao is one of thousands of workers in Chinese factories making some of this year's must-have Christmas toys.
She in the factory making this year some of the must-haves. So you out there running to celebrate or get toys for something you shouldn't even be getting toys for. That go to show you getting toys, period. Everything we do, we got to consider. So you celebrating this holiday is making it much harder on other folks. People are really being oppressed behind this. You can say it ain't your problem, but you don't care. You helping. It said it's one of the 1,000 workers in Chinese factories making some of this year's must-have Christmas toys. What happened?
An investigation with the U.S.-based NGO China Labor Watch reveals that toys, including Barbie, Thomas the Tank Engine, and Hot Wheels, were made by staff earning as little as 86p an hour.
And when I saw it, when I looked it up, it said like $11 an hour or something like that, $11.80. All right, go back to the bed joint. The bed, some of the. You see this one? Yes, sir. All right, go ahead. This is real time. This is really what's going on. People are being oppressed in their ways. People are just being overly oppressed due to this holiday, which is only around for making money. So you helping the oppressor. You know, I wouldn't. You destroying the kingdom of God doing this. Go ahead.
Some of this year's must-have brands were made in the factories visited by the undercover team. At the Foshin Nanai Diecast Company factory, the basic salary for workers was just 86p an hour.
And I saw 11, but I know it's probably less than what they told me online. It said $11.80, something like that. But even that's terrible. That is terrible. Go ahead.
Toys photographed inside the factory include Thomas the Tank Engine, Minis, and a Hot Wheels Guardian of the Galaxy, as well as car, Piston Cup Racing, Garage, and the Fisher Price Learn with Me Zebra Walker. Fisher Price is owned by Mattel.
Now pay attention to this. Go ahead.
Working all available overtime and with all allowances and deductions applied, a worker takes home far less than the average wage in Chinese cities of $715 a month.
It was like $800 or something a month. What did he say?
An undercover investigator who joined the company as a worker described having to work with insomnial acetate, commonly known as banana oil, which can soften and dissolve plastic. The investigator worked on a production line and came into direct contact with the substance, reporting that some workers had complained to management about the strong oil.
But they don't care. It's a holiday, baby. You got to get this money. We don't care if it's hazardous to your health or none of that. Take this. I'm paying you, ain't you? Ain't I? That's what they say. Some funky $11. That's all we worth, huh? And these ain't black folks, huh? You would think that only black people, the only people who oppress the way folks talk. These ain't black folks. That's how the tribulation hit everybody. This oppression has hit everybody. It started in that 70 AD though, and it kicked off. A time you would never see. That time you would never see again. So ain't nobody going back into slavery like that. But everybody gonna be oppressed because the capitalists don't. It ain't about color no more. They looking at green. That's the color they worried about. Green, blue, whatever color it is. All right. What else? Okay, yeah. Read that next sentence right here. Look what your reward is. Go ahead.
Staff also claimed that the company offered prizes for the 3 most productive workers every day.
Look, this is not no typo. Look what it say.
The prize was a pack of paper towels.
For the hardest worker, we're gonna give you a prize. It's a pack of paper towels. Ain't that something? Talk about tribulation. Talk about distress. All right, read this will be the read this one, then we're gonna move on to something else and we'll wrap it up. We about done. Overtime.
Reading this?
No, bump that. We're gonna go to the next one, overtime. Yes, sir. You got it? Shit, boy, on it, man. Praise God. Go ahead.
Overtime can run to nearly 3 times the legal limit.
Overtime can run nearly 3 times the legal limit for some toys for Christmas that you ain't supposed to be doing anyway. But it's about the money. So everybody running to keep this pagan tradition, you are furthering the oppression of another people. You don't even know. You don't care either. What about this Happy Meal stuff? Go ahead.
In some factories, including one producing Happy Meal toys for McDonald's from the new DreamWorks movie Trolls, that means some are on 12-hour shifts with hazardous chemicals.
So you inhaling hazardous chemicals for 12 hours for $11. Go ahead.
According to China Labor Watch, the world of toys may be heaven for children, but it is a world of misery for toy factory workers.
So why are you looking at your children happy? Oh, thank you, Dad and Mom. Somebody is going through misery. But you think because you feel good, remember this is a heathenistic celebration, because you feel good, you think God is with it. But you had to give over your money to celebrate Jesus? I'm not seeing the correlation. What I'm seeing, the correlation I'm seeing is Your child's happiness is at the expense of somebody's oppression. And that's a problem. It said, according to China Labor Watch, the world of toys may be heaven for children, but it is a world of misery for toy factory workers. What else was he trying to say?
The group's founder and executive director, Lee Qian.
The Labor Watch people. So you got to organize and do right? They're actually doing something right. That's why they in there in the first place. The group's founder and executive director, Lee, what?
Qian
Go ahead.
said, we can't tolerate that children's dreams are based on workers' nightmares.
Yeah, we can't tolerate that. We don't give a doggone about no child being happy when somebody's being hurt. That don't make no sense. We can't tolerate that children's dreams are based on workers' nightmares. What did he say we must do? Sit around? Let's see.
And we must fight against the unfair oppression of workers who manufacture toys.
So even they got enough sense not just sit around and let somebody get abused on the press, right? That's good. Let's go into we'll read this on this Halloween thing real quick, and then we'll end it where I told y'all to leave off.
10 facts.
Yes, sir. Pull up that Halloween by the numbers. It's a picture of a Halloween. It say Halloween. You looking at me? What I say? Infamita is wrong. I said.
Nah, I was trying to figure it out. Like you said.
You see it? Halloween by the numbers up there?
Yes.
All right. This is the article, Halloween by the numbers. It's all about money. We just got rid of this holiday. Or we just passed it. October 31st, right? The devil's day, which is regardless of who you claim you're doing it for. Like you say, what they be saying, Hallelujah night. Yeah, this Hallelujah night. This ain't Halloween. This come to
obvious.
church. Huh?
It's the most obvious one.
Yeah, that's obvious, ain't it? Come to church with your costume. This Hallelujah night. Come do the same thing that they doing out there. We're just going to change the name.
Trunk or treat.
Right. Trunk or treat. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? What it say in Job? No, not one. All right. Halloween by the numbers. Now we got, here are 10 facts for Halloween 2022. 10 facts. Let's read them. Go ahead.
Number one, 10.6 billion is projected Halloween spending in 2022.
Anybody know how long Halloween lasts? It's about a day. But they stretch it out. That week of, just like Christmas, that week of, right? Look how much money it is. So you're telling me if folks just simply stop celebrating Halloween, they could crush these world leaders by $10.6 billion. $10.6 billion is projected Halloween spending in 2022. That's what all these holidays are about. Money. President's Day money. It's a sale. President's Memorial sale. Valentine's Day, chocolate half off. It's a Christmas sale. Halloween, all that stuff. The second one.
3.6 billion is projected to spend on costumes.
So you just telling me if we just don't get no costume, we will crush them by 3.6 billion. That's how you know how vital human participation is to the establishing the kingdom on earth. To these powers falling in Revelation 18, where nobody want to buy from them no more. Nobody want to buy our stuff no more. Did that happen because we were sitting around looking at each other, waiting on Jesus to come out the sky to do it? Or is he waiting on us to do it? He said, we read this and elaborate and push this home, bring this home, that he need to find us watching, working. So we're doing our part a little bit. We ahead of the game for most of these things. He said 3.6 billion is projected to spend on costumes. The next one.
3.1 billion is projected to be spent on buying candy.
3.1 billion. All this is in the billions. Did you think they split it with the people that's creating the candy and making the costumes? Because they couldn't even split it with the people making the Christmas toys, since this one was about Jesus. Jesus didn't make you feel like you need to pay them what you owe them? You feel with the Christian spirit. That's why it's in my spirit thing that don't work with me. I just watch what you do and say. That's how I know what spirit you are. I bet you they didn't split this $3 billion with the people that made the candy or made the costumes. That's what you call robbery, oppression. It's not good. And then we could become a business owner and do the same thing. It's me and you working. I mean, the company in my name, but it's me and you working. I'm gonna take a little bit more than you though. He did the same work as me, so I just robbed him. But we think that's okay. That's the American way. You writing that B system too. You do that. What else to say?
Number 4, 34% of parents think 13 or 14 is old enough to trick or treat alone.
And that's why you see children missing. 13 or 14 years old enough to go out by themselves. 13 or 14, old enough to go to strangers' houses in different neighborhoods by themselves. And you wonder why it be missing persons everywhere, missing children, milk carton kids. Go ahead.
Number 5, 67% of Americans plan to hand out candy to trick-or-treaters.
What else?
Number 6, 86% of parents admit to stealing candy from their kids.
Whatever, they being funny. Go ahead.
Number 7, $5.82 is the average spent on a pumpkin in the car.
What else?
Number 8, $300 million is annual ticket revenue from ticket sales to haunted houses.
Look at this wicked day producing all this money because that's all it's about. In God we trust. Yeah, Satan is the source of it. Christmas too. We just don't have the numbers for them. We just showing you Christmas is way more popular than Halloween. And look at the numbers Halloween producing. So we can only imagine what Christmas is producing. Look at this wicked holiday. One day. There ain't no Halloween Eve, none of that. Even though it means Hallows Eve, but nobody doing nothing on November 1st either. Just Halloween. What does it say, 9?
$11 million is spent on direct property damage caused by Halloween house fires.
I bet it is. Go ahead.
Number 10, 72%.
Look at the percentage. 70% say what?
72% of people say they would consider purchasing a haunted house.
Are you kidding me? You hear what it is? 72% of people would do some devil stuff. Anyway, since it's a popular candy day, right? This is the last one, sweet but bitter. Sweet but bitter. Sweet but bitter. And I think it called it high fructose or something on there. Yes. All right. Last slide, and then we'll end it in Deuteronomy 12. That's why this stuff must come down. All right. Read the title. This is from 2020, December 22nd. What's the title of it?
Sweet but bitter. Focus on fructose impact on brain function in rodent models.
So this affects the brain function in rodent models. So high fructose corn syrup is what we're reading about, right? Let's see.
Fructose consumption has drastically increased during the last decades due to the extensive commercial use of high fructose corn syrup as a sweetener for beverages, snacks, and baked goods.
So we know it's in candy, and that's what they was giving out. Harmless because you throw Jesus on it, or it's harmless to just go out and get candy. That's harmless, but you don't even know you drugging up the kids with chemicals. And you causing addiction. That's what candy, trust me, I know. I was a candy man for sure. I just recently stopped eating candy because bro used to come through with the big bags. But I was getting a headache in the back of my head. I was getting headaches and all. I was like, man, this ain't supposed to happen when I eat anything. And you can feel it. I can feel it like on my insides, like it was crazy. But look how dangerous this stuff is. And it's just harmless. They want to have fun. Let them have it. It's just poison. I'm going to be honest with you. High fructose corn syrup as a sweetener for beverages, snacks, baked goods. I found it in some bread at the store. I was like, can't get that. I saw high fructose corn syrup in some bread. I'm like, what is it doing in here? Can't get that. Well, let's see if it's just something light. Let's see. Go ahead.
Fructose overconsumption is known to induce obesity, dyslipidemia. What is that?
Dyslipidemia.
Dyslipidemia,
Look up this stuff. Go ahead.
insulin resistance, and inflammation.
Inflammation. That's how you get sick. If your body's inflamed, that's how you get sick.
And its metabolism is considered partially responsible for its role in several metabolic diseases.
It's responsible for its role in several metabolic diseases. Go ahead.
Indeed, the primary metabolites and byproducts of gut and hepatic fructulosis may impair the functions of extrahepatic tissues and organs.
We'll see what it means. Go ahead.
However, fructose itself causes an adenosine triphosphate or ATP depletion that triggers inflammation and oxidative stress.
Uh-huh.
Many studies have dealt with the effects of this sugar on various organs, while the impact of fructose on brain function is, to date, less explored, despite the relevance of this issue. Notably, fructose transporters and fructose metabolizing enzymes are present in brain cells.
Uh-oh.
In addition, it has emerged that fructose consumption, even in the short term, can adversely influence brain health by promoting neuroinflammation.
In the brain. Your brain inflamed through some candy or some harmless sweetener. This is fine. We could go trick or treating. You just poison your kids on this day. And you think it's okay to do it. Like you giving them more than what they usually get. Even if they was on a candy restriction. Not on Halloween. Yeah. You say, make sure y'all just take a little bit and give me the rest. They stuffing it in their pillowcase, all that, under the bed. They doing all that. And they giving you, yeah, mom, I did what you said. And they, at night, going crazy. I did it. I used to do it. That's all I know. But didn't even know this is messing your brain up. They're trying to kill you. They wouldn't like us putting this info out, but what we supposed to do? Just wait. But what we supposed to do is sit here and talk about just Bible scriptures. That's it. Don't do nothing. Just sit and just read Psalms or something. Right. This is a dietary lesson right here. This is some dietary law right here. Oh, but it ain't nothing unclean in here, so we can eat it. Go ahead, but it's killing you. Mess your brain up. Why would I eat something that's gonna mess my brain up? But it's a heck of a drug because I eat some candy for sure. I could go for some candy. In addition, it has emerged that fructose consumption, even in the short term, can what again?
Adversely influence brain health by promoting neuroinflammation.
What else?
Brain mitochondrial dysfunction.
Brain mitochondrial dysfunction. Go ahead.
And oxidative stress, as well as insulin resistance.
What else?
Fructose influence on synaptic plasticity and cognition.
Cognition.
With a major impact on critical regions for learning and memory.
Oh, so when it's hard for people to learn and remember, this could be the cause. Too much fructose, high fructose, too much. And then, you're going to wonder why your child can't pay attention or not listening or they can't remember nothing. And what do you do after that? Take them to the doctor. And what do? Give them more chemicals. Now they on chemicals their whole life thinking they really got a problem when the issue was the sweetener that they told you it's okay to eat. But it's for money. They don't care. It's for the love of money. It will have you doing things against God or even against yourself. And we got worship in parentheses. Your way of life is being dictated by people that's only concerned about some money. Ain't that something? For learning and memory was what?
Learning and memory was also reported.
Uh-huh.
In this review, we discussed emerging data about fructose.
I'm sorry, man. I had the URL on the notepad.
I put high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, put the URL so they could go look. It had 129 references. Just in case this ain't good enough. You know what I mean? 129 references to this. It say high fructose corn syrup on the notepad. Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. Just they can type in sweet but bitter, and it'll come up. Focus on fructose. It's cool. It's cool. They could do their own info. It'll pop up. All you got to do is type in high fructose corn syrup and the effects it has on the brain. Go ahead. In this review, what?
In this review, we discuss emerging data about fructose effects on brain health in rodent models, with special reference to the regulation of food intake, inflammation, mitochondrial function and oxidative stress, insulin signaling, and cognitive function.
Cognitive function, your awareness, memory. All right, learning. All right, let's go into the Bible. Deuteronomy 12, we've ended here. This is why this stuff had to be destroyed. Over some false God worship that you're not supposed to do because somebody loved money. This is real time, okay? Real time. Things are happening in real time. Again, another Bible-based lesson focusing on things that are taking place real time. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 12, one more time, but we're going to read it to verse 4. So Deuteronomy 12, 1 through 4, and this is it. Maybe 3, but we'll see. Go ahead. Verse 1. Deuteronomy 12 and 1. We might not need 4. Go ahead.
These are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land, which the Lord God of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it, all the days that ye live upon the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places.
You shall utterly destroy all the places, right? Go ahead.
Wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods.
So every place where they serve their gods, you destroy. No matter where it's at, go find it and do something about it. Go ahead. What it say?
Upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree.
And what you supposed to do? Go ahead.
And you shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire. And you shall hew down the graven images of their gods.
You know why? The Lord would know what these pagan festivals would cause. He know what this false worship would cause. Look at all the stuff we read. You think he didn't know? Of course he knew. That's why it has to be destroyed and erased. Just like we read last week, you have to come together and stand against this behavior. That's what you got to do. So we got to do. The church is supposed to be a government. A government doesn't consist of one person. It's a body. It's where ecclesia, church, government. That's what it all means. So this government here that the Lord was establishing here in the wilderness, he said, when you get into this place, you shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire. And you shall hew down their graven images of their gods. And what?
And destroy the names of them out of that place.
Verse 4.
You shall not do so unto the Lord your God.
Hey, don't destroy nothing God did, but destroy all the stuff of these pagans and their false gods. And that's for the love of money, worship. I hope you got some understanding for those that are really seeking God. I really hope you understand the lesson and motivate you to, to operate and consider your ways in this world. So we're going to close out.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee.
And be gracious unto thee.
And be gracious unto thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee.
And give thee peace.
And give thee peace.
And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel.
And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel.
And I will bless them.
And I will bless them.
In Jesus' holy name we pray.
In Jesus' holy name we pray.
Amen.